Hey y'all, Sage Dupree here. I said that I would come back and talk about what happened to me in 1995 after I did that video about the car accident in 2019. And that was hard to do. I didn't realize how hard that would be for me, but it's not easy talking to a bunch of strangers and people that I don't know and letting them in on things that I've been through that's been very, very sentimental to me. But for the one in 1995 where I almost died was crazy. I was young, very young. I was actually about 26, maybe about 26 or 27. Well, yeah, I think I was 27. And I had met this guy that I started dating. I was going to school. I went back to school for a trade. And we met each other then. And I'd only had my daughter. And I wasn't really looking to be in a relationship. So I kind of told him, I kind of blew him off. And I told him, you know what? You're nice looking, you're a nice person, but I'm not really ready for a relationship. And I kind of blew him off. Okay. And then after that, he ended up getting incarcerated because, well, let's go back. After I kind of blew him off and we finished school, I ended up getting a job and I did not see him anymore. It was like he just disappeared. And then I was asking a friend of mine if they knew him, and they actually did know him. And she told me that he was incarcerated. And I was like, what? Wow. How did he go from school, from auto mechanics and from doing welding and all that to going to jail? That was crazy. But anyway, to make a long story short, I ended up moving on with my life, working. I ended up having another daughter. I met somebody else that I, was actually in love with, and it was a good relationship. Met someone else and then ended up having another daughter. Well, by the time my daughter was 2, me and her dad, we kind of like didn't see eye to eye. He was a player. He was a really good looking dude, but he was a player and I couldn't compete. So I was just like, I was into that. But anyway, to make a long story short, I ended up running into Victor again through a phone call. A friend of mine, her husband was incarcerated, and then they ended up meeting each other, and they were talking about people that they knew in common, and my name came up. And then her husband ended up having her call me, and we ended up meeting on a 3-way again. And I was like, wow, what a small world. And he told me, he goes, I'm getting ready to get out. So I said, well, what were you locked up for? He says, a long story. He said, but I'll let you know what's going on. But can I have your number so I can call you? I gave him my number. Why not? I wasn't in a relationship. I was like, you know what? This will be something to do. I gave him my number and he called. And when he called, we talked and we talked and we talked and we talked. And he told me the things that he got into after I brushed him off when we were in school. He told me I hurt his feelings and I brushed him off, and he just said he didn't care anymore, and he just started getting wild in the streets. So I blame myself for that. And I'm like, dang, well, I'm glad that you're okay. When are you coming home? And he said, I'll be out. It'll be right before Christmas. And we were right in the month of November. So I was like, okay. And what he did was he said, I'm going to send you a nice gift for Christmas. And I was like, well, if you're going to be coming out, we could just wait for that. Well, no, I want to go ahead and send this to you. So he had me go and pick up something from his attorney. And what I did was I went to his attorney, and the attorney gave me a check for some thousands. And I'm like, for me? Oh my God. So I took the check, and he told me, buy whatever you want, get the kids whatever they want. He was like, you were supposed to be my wife, and I was just blown away. And I was really happy because I was struggling at that time. I didn't really have a lot of money, but I made do with what I had for my girls. And they had put this big old Christmas list out on what they wanted for Christmas. And I ended up buying them everything that they wanted because of him. So when he came out, it was a surprise to me because he came out right after Christmas. And it was like the best Christmas ever that year. And believe it or not, that was in 1995. That was the best Christmas that I ever had. Really, it was like one of my best Christmases. I'm not going to say the best Christmas I ever had because I've had some good Christmases lately. But that particular time, that was the best Christmas for me. But I'm at work, you guys, so I'll be back to give you guys more of the story. So hang on. Crazy. I'm at work and I'm sitting here telling you guys about my life. That's crazy. It's really slow, so I can go ahead and do that. Why not? But anyway, that 95, that year was one of the best Christmases I ever had. He was home. We picked up where we left off. I felt bad because I blew him off. But I really blew him off because of another relationship and it didn't even work out. You know what I'm saying? But to make a long story short, we ended up picking up where we left off at and things were good. And it was one particular night I went to sleep with him. We were up late watching movies and I fell asleep and I had this crazy, crazy dream. I had a dream that I was riding in a truck with my oldest brother and we stopped at a light and these guys ran up on the truck and just opened fire. Bah, 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 bah. And in the dream, I could feel the bullets. I could feel them hitting me. And I just woke up out of my sleep and I was like super scared. And he was laying next to me. He said, "Baby, you all right?" And I looked at him and told him, I said, "I just had a bad dream that my brother had ended up getting murdered, you know?" And he was like, "Wow." And he kind of gave me this look like, it was just, I can't even describe the look now that I think about it, but it was like a look like he was blown away by the dream. And he had something he wanted to tell me, but he didn't. So after that dream, I kind of like, we moved on and we kind of like went on with our lives and I kind of let that kind of blow off. But anyway, my neighbor that had lived downstairs from me at the time, I believe Victor was gone. I think he had went to work with his uncle because his uncle was, a contractor. So he had went to work with his uncle. And his uncle had came over early that morning. He would always come over early and knock on the door super early. So he had got up and he left with his uncle. And then I would fix his dinner and stuff like that. And, it was just like a normal family routine. And my neighbor had said, I went to go visit my boyfriend and he was asking me how Victor was doing. And he said that he had heard that he had got shot up and da da. I said, "What?" I said, "No, we're neighbors. You see him every day like I do. I mean, why would your boyfriend think something like that?" I don't know. He asked me that and it was just crazy. I don't know why he would ask me that either. And I just kind of like, no, he's good. I didn't put two and two together. Didn't think to know or wonder why she would ask me something like that. But anyway, this is hard, you guys. This is really hard. After that, I kind of went on with my life, But I had another dream again. But this time the dream was about my other brother. And it was somebody coming over and they had gunned him down in the dream again. And I woke up crying. And he looked at me and he was like, "Another dream?" I said, "Yeah, I don't know why I keep dreaming about this. This is crazy. I don't know why I keep dreaming like this, but this is crazy." But I do remember that I would see him. He would go out, like days where we would have fun. We would be laughing and talking and enjoying ourselves. And one day he was outside just thinking, but he looked like he was in deep thought. And I asked him, "Is everything okay?" He said, "Yeah, everything's okay." I said, it's kind of different adjusting back, being back out on the streets after all that jail time. I said, and I know you're happy you're out. I am. He said, but I hope I don't have to do nothing to my cousin. I said, what do you mean? And which cousin? He said, I hope I don't have to do nothing to her. He said, remember when she asked where I lived and I told her we lived in LA? I said, yeah, I was wondering why you lied to her like that. He said, yeah. But he left it alone, and I never pushed to even ask anymore. But he told me, he said, I have a feeling that I'm not going to live long. I said, why you say something like that? That's crazy. He said, I just have a weird feeling that I'm going to die a violent death. I'm like, I let that blow. I kind of let that go out of one ear and out the other. I didn't even want to pay attention to that. But stay tuned, you guys. All right, you guys, I'm back. This is not really easy for me to do. Not as easy as I thought it would be. It's actually pretty hard. But anyway, I am working this job that I'm really trying to get out of working because it's just repetitive. Constantly the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And I'm really trying to get established on YouTube, creating content. That is like a dream for me to be able to reach the subscriber level that I'd like to reach, so that way I can kind of push forward and do creative content. I like being creative. It helps me. It keeps me young, keeps me feeling young, and that's what I want to do. But anyway, as I was saying about our situation in 1995, things were going pretty good. And again, like I told you, he had went out and told me that, he felt like he wasn't going to live long. And I kind of blew that off and felt like he was just talking and maybe being negative. But it was one particular night, I had a friend, her daughters come over and spend the night with my daughter so they can have, fun. My daughters had created a nickname for Victor. They called him Tubby. And you would think Tubby was for a person that was big, but he wasn't big. They just called him Tubby. That was a nickname they had for him, Tubby. And I thought that was a cute little name. And my daughter came to me and she said, Mom, where's Tubby? I said, he's not here. I don't know where he is. And I kept paging him. And during this time, pagers were kind of big, and I kept paging him and wondering where he was, but he was not answering me. And then I had got a call from a friend of mine, and she was like, girl, oh my God, they had found this, somebody on a freeway, and they were on fire, and they were, unalived. And I said, what? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I hope and pray that this is not him. So I kept calling his phone. I kept texting him. I kept trying to figure out who it was and what was going on. And then we ended up finding out who it was. It wasn't him, thank God. He ended up showing up home that night. I'll never forget, it was April 12th, 1995. He ended up showing up home that night. And I had made some shrimp fried rice, and I was worried about him, and I asked him where he was, and he told me he was at one of his friend's house, and he had lost track of time, and he apologized to me. I fed him, we ate, we showered, we made some tremendous love. It was great. And I remember going to sleep. I was sound asleep until somebody knocked on my door at 6:13 a.m. And I thought maybe it's his uncle. So I woke him up and I said, babe, somebody's at the door. I think it's your uncle. But the look that he gave me, I will never forget. The look that he gave me, he got up, slid his pants on, went to the door, and I laid back down and I closed my eyes, and I remember hearing him say, who? And then this voice, it was unfamiliar. It wasn't his uncle. So this was somebody that either had the wrong house or they were looking for somebody that didn't live here, okay? So anyway, he kept saying, who? And I'm sitting here like, why won't he close the door? And then all of a sudden I hear this rumbling and I look up and I see him trying to close the door. And then I hear gunshots. something rolled me over in my bed. It was like a force that rolled me over in my bed, and I hit the floor, and I kept hearing pow, 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 pow. And the first thing I'm thinking is, oh my God, this is it for me. I'm going to be taken out. My kids are here. They're going to be taken out. Oh my God, this is the end of my life. I could not believe it, but then everything went silent. And I just laid there, and it was silent. It was like a fog, a thick fog hanging over my head. And I laid there, and I looked under the bed, and I seen my daughter's feet, and she says, "Mommy." And I jumped up, and I grabbed her, and I put her back in the room, and I shut the door and told her, "Do not come out of this room." And she says, "Okay." And I looked, well, I actually didn't even look. I just ran towards the front door, looked in the living room, didn't see anybody, looked in the living room. I went to the front door, locked it. Turn around, look on the hallway, and he's laying there on the floor. And all I hear is this. And I didn't know what the hell that was. But my daughter, I just ran through the house. I remember grabbing the phone. I dialed 911, and I told them what happened. They were like, calm down, calm down. And I just, now that I'm thinking about it, it was like, it was crazy. I called him and told him that he had been shot, and I needed the police to come. And it seemed like the police were there in like 2 seconds, I swear. And they were like, boom, 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 boom. Open the doors, police, open the doors. LAPD right now, open the door. Come out with your hands up. So I opened the door, and they had guns on me, and I'm screaming for them to, not hurt me, and that, I had kids in the house, and they were like, who else is in the house? They had guns aimed and everything. It was just crazy. It was the interruption of everything. And I'll be right back, you guys. Okay, you guys, I'm at work still, so bear with me. So I hear helicopters, police cars driving up, guns out. They're running up the stairs to my apartment. They're knocking on people's doors. My neighbors asking them if they hear any gunshots. People are saying no, they didn't hear nothing. And I'm crying. I'm sitting there in shock. I'm replaying it over and over in my head. I'm smelling gunpowder in my nose, and I'm hearing the pow, 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 pow. It was just unbelievable what had just happened in my house. My kids are crying. My kids are scared. My friend's daughter's there. People are coming out. They're looking like, oh my God, girl, what happened? What happened? Oh my God, I didn't even know what to say. I was just sitting there like, I wanted to go back in the house to see what was going on with him. They wouldn't let me back in the house, but I peeped and I saw him breathing. So I'm thinking, okay, he's going to be fine. They run the stretcher upstairs, and I'm like, he's breathing. And then all of a sudden the detectives are like, well, police were like, you need to come to the station. I said, what about my daughters? I got to wait. My daughters are here. Can I bring them? No, can you call somebody to have them come and pick your daughters up? So my neighbor came out, and she was like, I'll watch them. I said, okay. I've sent them downstairs to be watched, and I went to the police station. So it didn't even really hit me till I get to the police station. And when I'm there, I have these people, these cops, they're asking me all these questions. I'm telling them what happened. They're asking me over and over what happened. It's like I'm telling the story over and 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 over again. All right, you guys, sorry about that. Again, I'm at work, and I'm trying to do this video at the same time. But like I was saying, I saw so many cops and was telling them the same thing over and over. It was like they thought that I was lying about what the hell happened. And I'm like, you guys, come on now. This is like shocking to me. I want to know how he's doing. I want to know if he's okay. The last I remember is he was breathing when I got to when I looked in the house and saw him breathing. They were doing CPR on him and I saw him breathing. Okay, so anyway, he goes, this cop says, wait right here, I'll be right back. So I remember how cold the room was. I'm looking around, I'm in there by myself, and I'm just like wondering how my kids are doing. I'm replaying the situation over and over in my head. And I'm just like, damn, like I remember how it was last night. We had good dinner. We made good love. I hope everything is okay. Today is just a new day and this is crazy. Like, how could I wake up to some shit like this? And then I started remembering those dreams that I had. It was just like a lot of stuff playing over and over in my head. So anyway, the door opens again and I look into the cop's eyes. This guy had these pretty piercing blue eyes. I'll never forget his face. He was dressed in plain, like a suit and tie, or, a tie with a dress shirt and suit pants. And he comes in and he sits down and he goes, hi, I'm Detective such and such and such and such from Homicide. And I'm like, huh? Homicide? What do you mean? I said, is he dead? Yes. And it was just so like, am I hearing things? Wait, first he was breathing when I left. I said, how is he dead when he was breathing when I left? He didn't make it. I'm like, wow. He said, I'm sorry. Do you mind going over what happened again? And I'm sitting here letting it sit in my head that he just told me that he was dead. So I'm like, okay. So I ran over the story again, letting him know what happened. And then he asked me, where was he at last night? I told him where he was. I told him what he told me. I told him about the times that I texted him. He asked me if he had any problems with anybody. I told him I didn't know anything. All I know is that he had just got out of jail. I do remember that he told me why he went to jail. He went into, quite a bit of what happened, and I didn't really put two and two together. So they asking me if I know this person, if I knew about the person that was unalived and set on fire on the 118 freeway. I'm like, I heard about that, but I don't, I heard about that, but I don't know anything about that person or who that person is. He goes, well, how did you hear about it? And I explained to him how I heard about it. And it was just like, I'm like wondering, like, wait, were these tied together? Did he do this? It's all kind of shit running through my head. Like, damn, did he do this? What the hell did I get myself into? So I asked him, if I could call my brother. I remember asking if I could call my brother. I called my brother. And after I had this interview with this detective, I remember leaving the police station and I remember hearing my brother call my name and I started screaming and crying. When I heard my brother's name, I said, I'm ready to get out of here. So when we get back to the house, I see a white coroner's van in front of my house, in front of the apartment building. My neighbors are all outside looking. They bring his body downstairs covered in a sheet. And I'm like, damn. Just that fast, I could have lost my life. That person that came to my house at 6:13 that morning could have took my life. Could have took everybody's life in the house. I'll be right back, you guys. All right, you guys, here I am again. Again, I'm at work, and to be honest with you, this job is crazy because we have a thing called NICE. I'm not sure if anybody is familiar with NICE that works from home, but we have it's like an AI thing that keeps up with your times that you go to lunch, times that you take breaks, all of this stuff. It's like it's ran by an AI. And I really don't like it because what it is they want you to keep up with it when, it's unrealistic because sometimes when these calls come through, my lunch might be right now, and then a call will come through and it'll just be like, it'll throw me all the way off. And I noticed that every time it's time for me to either take a break or have lunch, I'll get a call. And the calls usually last for about 15 to 20 minutes because I do intake with behavioral health. So I have to collect all this information and it takes forever to do it, which is one of the reasons why I'm kind of over it. And I actually really want to be a content creator because I can make my own schedule. I can beat at my own drum. I can dance to my own music. I can eat when I want to, wake up when I want to, do a video when I want to, and not really have to worry about all this stuff. Okay. And I feel like now it's really harder to be a content creator because they want you to get all these watch hours. And then if, they have everything ran by AI, of course, AI might not even catch your title. You have to be able to come in with keywords. You have to be able to get this SEO stuff down packed in order for you to even have your video even go out to the mainstream. So with me even telling you guys all of this stuff, I don't even know how many people I'm going to get to watch my video. Hopefully I'll have a lot of people watching it because, to be honest with you, I'm kind of overworking for anyone. I'm over it. Okay. I also have another little business on the side that I do on TikTok where I do readings for people. I just had a girl reach out to me right now and she was like, "Are you busy?" And I'm like, "Of course, I'm at work." And she said, "I'm tripping out right now. And it's because of something that I told her. And her doctor reached out and told her the same thing." So she's kind of like, "Oh shit." I mean, it's not funny when you think about it. It's like, it's scary to some people because I did have these premonitions about Victor. And it wasn't even Victor. In the dream, it was my brother. So that told me that it was somebody close to me. And I remember telling him about the dream. And I remember waking up crying when I had the second dream. And then again, like I told you guys, my neighbor had asked me if he was okay when she saw me with him clearly every day. So to me, I felt like she knew what was going on and she just didn't tell me anything. She knew, but she didn't say anything to me, which tells me that you can't trust everybody because people will know things that can be detrimental to your life or to your health, and they won't tell you a damn thing because either they're jealous of who you are or they just don't like you. And I feel like this girl didn't like me because I used to date the guy she was dealing with. I dated him, but it wasn't like it was a big deal for me. It was just a date. But I think she had her reasons not to like me because of that, which to me is stupid. You ended up with him, so who cares? And it was before he met you. So, I mean, people do really stupid shit. But to make a long story short, he passed. And I was alone. And it was so surreal. Like I said, when we got to the house, the little girl that came over to spend the night with my daughters, her mother showed up and she was like, "Oh my God, what happened?" And I, told her I really couldn't talk. I was just blown away by what happened and that he was gone. And she saw them bringing his body out right along with me. And I got in the car with my brother, with my kids, and I just cried all the way to my mom's house. And I mean, I remember looking up in the clouds and I seen how thick they were. They looked like big balls of popcorn. Just crazy. And even now, we're close to April right now. This is the end of March and we're close to April. And this happened April the 13th, 1995. And we're close to that actual day again. And now I'm able to cope with it. But before, it was just like, wow. Everything that I went through, you guys, was crazy. I mean, from that day all the way until now, and letting me know that I'm grateful to be here. And I'm not complaining about my job. I'm grateful to have a job. I'm lucky because a lot of people don't get the chance to work from home. A lot of people have to drive, commute in traffic, and I don't have to do that, which I'm grateful for. Again, I'm grateful that I didn't die in that car accident, and I'm grateful that I did not pass away with that shooting that happened at my house. Um, and I'm going to see if I can find it in the paper because I can. And when I do find that clip, I'm going to share the clip as well. I'm going to pull it up and then I'm going to share the clip so you guys can see what happened. And that was at my house. That was real. It was very real. I'm not just telling this story just for notoriety or for clout or anything like that. I'm actually telling you guys what really happened in my life and how lucky I am to be here to tell you. And I wanted to share that with you guys, but I will be back to talk some more. Stay tuned. So there you guys have it. I just showed you the actual newspaper clipping. It took me a while to get it. I had to pay for it, but it took me a while just to get this archive because it's LA Times archive. And this right here was crazy. This happened in my apartment. And that is something that I will never, ever forget, you guys. I'm going to come back more and do some more conversations with you guys, but I just wanted you guys to let that sink in. That was crazy. As you guys can see right here, we see what it says. He was 27 years old when this happened. This was in my apartment. And I'm going to go down here at the bottom where it says right here, police have established no motive and have made no arrests in that situation. Okay. And to this day, they still haven't made an arrest. And what trips me out is that before I moved out of California and came to Arizona, the detectives came back to my house in 2021. Still investigating it. Okay? Still investigating it. That's crazy. I just wanted you guys to see this, to let you know how real this is. This took me a long time just to get this archive out of here. But if you look right there, you'll see where it says Los Angeles Times Archives, and you'll see the date right there. This was the day after that happened. It happened on the 13th, but they printed it in a paper on the 14th. But this was a really hard time in my life for me, you guys. And then let me tell you guys, I was just reading over that article, and they said that a man was shot outside of his home. It was not outside. That dude came in my house. Whoever it was, they came in my house because those gunshots were very loud. And I could smell the gun smoke and everything in my nostrils for weeks after that happened. So it was not outside. It wasn't like he did this outside and ran down the stairs. He did this, because Victor ran back in the house. I remember hearing the rumbling and thumbling, and he was in the hallway. So how was he outside of the house? All right, so I hope you guys kind of I'm not going to even say enjoyed the story, but I hope you guys were interested in what I was telling you about my life in 1995. Again, if you guys enjoy the stories and the stuff that I tell you guys, I hope you can like and subscribe and share. That would help me out a lot. And also, I have a book that I wrote. I have 3 books that I wrote. I have book 1, 2, and 3 of Dirty Secrets that I wrote, and I would love to be able to read to you guys because a lot of people don't read anymore. They don't like reading. They like to be read to. So, a lot of people are busy. They have things to do and they don't really have time to read. Some people are readers like myself and they want to read, but I am hoping to be able to bring you guys some good content. Anybody that's interested in giving me some suggestions, I do tarot readings. I do oracle readings as well. If you guys are interested in that, you can always reach out to me and I will be glad to go ahead and do a live reading with you guys. I am going to be doing a part 2, and I do have another channel called The Kitchen Witch. It's called The Kitchen Witch 11. You guys can actually follow that channel or subscribe to that channel as well. I do a lot of cooking on there and readings as well. And I just did a recent video with a girl that told me about a guy that she dated, and this guy unalived his wife, okay? And this was actually really true. It was a true story as well. And it's also footage of pictures of her. The link that, you know, where she told part of the story is connected. Well, I'm not going to say told part of the story, where she showed pictures is connected. The guy that she dated, he didn't even go to jail. So it was pretty deep, you guys. And I noticed that a lot of people on YouTube like crazy stories, and I'm going to try to bring you guys as much content as possible. I am not new to YouTube. I've been on YouTube since 2013, but I didn't really start pushing YouTube again until now. So just bear with me, you guys. My goal is to be able to reach 100,000 subscribers, and I can't do it without the help of you guys. I cannot do it without your help, and I plan on doing it. That is my goal. I'm determined to do it. I already have the nail in the wall to get that silver plaque, and I'm waiting to see it on my wall. It's gonna happen, okay? I'm gonna definitely fight for that to happen, because I'm tired of dealing with these jobs. I just had a lady call me right now. She was kind of rude. She wanted me to give her an appointment right then and there, and I didn't have anything available for her. So she was just like, some of these people are entitled, and it's just a lot going on, you guys. But anyway, love and light to you guys. And until then, if you guys can like, comment, and subscribe, and give me some suggestions on more videos. And I do have other stories for y'all.